Hello everyone, I'm just walking through Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. This is one of the roads which goes from Hilton Road across to Chester Road, and the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go to one of the wards at the cemetery and see if I can get as much history as possible, just walking up it, just so you can give an idea of the place. It's absolutely huge, this particular cemetery, absolutely massive. This is just the bottom end of it, the eastern side. That side to my right, I think we've only done a couple of videos. I need to get over there and do some more. So this is Ward 2A. And we'll go up to Ward 2CC. Hopefully we'll actually find some history. This is the first one. This is a grand headstone. This is in memory of Andrew White, who departed this life October the 1st, 1856, aged 64 years. Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord. Also Ophelia, widow of the above, who died deeply lamented August the 17th, 1867, aged 75 years, after a lingering illness born with Christian resignation. She is not dead but sleepeth. And that's from Luke in the Bible. This headstone gives no clues to who Andrew White was, but he was the first mayor of Sunderland, I think back in the 1830s. He was also a Liberal MP for 4 years, and he was known as the Honest MP. So there's not even any mention of his former positions that he held. So an important man in the history of Sunderland. These graves on the right are in a prime position. Let's see if there's any you recognise. Sounds like there's a wasp's nest there, actually. Now, erected by Jane Harford in memory of her beloved brother, Sergeant J. McFadden of the Royal Artillery, native of Carlisle, who was engaged at Sebastopol, Inkerman and Alma in the Crimea. Born May the 25th, 1827, died August the 16th, 1856. Also John Hartford, her beloved husband. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? So Sergeant McFadden fought in the Crimean War, and he got injured twice, once severely at the end of 1855, and somehow he made his way up to Bishopwearmouth, and probably taken in by his sister and brother-in-law, but sadly August the 16th, 1856, he died at Durham Lane in the town. So just look at those names if you know your Crimean history. Sebastopol, Inkerman and Alma. There was a siege at Sebastopol. He was actually in a siege train with the French, and it took a direct hit, so he was down as severe, I think it was severely or dangerously injured, so it must have been really bad injuries. But you never know, when he came back to Sunderland, he could have died of tea consumption, some other sort of illness, not just war injuries. But I always hope that it was his sister who took him in. Borrowdale, that's the monumental masons. The father came from Barnard. He started a business off, and the sons then had their own when he retired. And the Borrowdales have done hundreds of headstones in this cemetery. There's a good chance, if you've got a Sunderland ancestor, that those two, or the father, did the stone. In memory of John Brown of Stockton-on-Tees, who died at Bishopwearmouth, March the 7th, 1857, aged 29 years. So that's a good example of how the separation between Sunderland, Bishopwearmouth and Monkwearmouth, how they were classed as separate places. So John Brown, when he died, they didn't say he died at Sunderland, he died at Bishopwearmouth. obviously over that particular century, the 1800s, it sort of went out of existence and such. People stopped using Bishopwearmouth on census and just used it as Sunderland. Now this is a beautiful little headstone. This is in memory of Mark, the beloved son of Mark and Isabella Harmon, died March 16, 1872, aged 1 year and 9 months. This lovely bud, so young and fair. I think that's called Hence by Early Doom. Just come to show how sweet in flower in paradise could bloom. So look at that lovely memorial to a young child. Now, Mark Harmon, he was a publican who licensed victular, who had the Mountain Daisy pub, but not the version that you see today. He had the previous version. This is would have been like a lot more basic than that fine structure you see today. Now, Mark had an interesting life. His mother was from Staffordshire. He was born in Westminster, in London, but in the 1841 census, his mother and the 3 or 4 children were living in Scarborough Workhouse. She married a guy, had a second husband, and then she came to them and ended up moving to the northeast, and the rest is history. That's a distinct memorial. And this is erected in memory of 2 affectionate sons and loving brothers. I think some of this stone is missing, well, or it's buried, but William Henry Chirnside was drowned in the Weir. I think that's January the 2nd of the night, 1868, just 14 years. Chirnside's a place I think up in Scotland, so the family might have had roots up there, but just as an example, there are tons of people who sadly drowned on the river or at the sea in all the Sunderland cemeteries. Sadly, not just people who were at work on the Weir, obviously people who took their own lives, people in accidents in shipyards, people on boats and so on. It's just that's something typically you find. And then, in memory of William Bell, son of William and Mary Louisa Bell, who departed this life July the 10th, 1862, aged 11 years. I've never actually looked at it. I don't think I've looked at this one before, but I should have done, because there's a nice epitaph, so I can get my torch to read it if it's bright enough. Why should something weep? Our sorrow in vain. He has but gone before. We live in hope to meet again and live forevermore. Obviously, I have looked at a few headstones in this cemetery, but it's only ever a small proportion. You couldn't do them all. There's that wasp following it. So this is Ward 2A, and we're just going to move into Ward 2C. Was it 2CC? I think this is the border here, and there's the cemetery chapel. Somebody posted in Sun and History that they are going to finish it off, the restoration. And we're just on the edge here. This cemetery, the first burial was the 2nd of May 1856, so this would have been one of the first sections used, as you can see by some of the dates that we just looked at. So the stone's a little bit older. In sacred to the memory of Thomas Morgan, who died January the 13th, 1858, aged 56 years, deeply lamented. There's wasps everywhere. After a long journey in the sea, my soul hath taken flight to the bright regions above the sky to meet the Lord of Light. Lovely epitaph. And then there's a granddaughter who died 1859, aged 10 years. Again, in memory of John Irwin of Bishopwearmouth. Far from a world of grief and sin, with God eternally shut in. Yeah, that's William Little. In the midst of life we are in death. That'll be the commonest epitaph you'll ever see. In the midst of life we are in death. See, they're sacred to the memory of James Dixon, who departed this life January the 20th, 1859, aged just 35 years. Once that's over 160 years old, this memorial. But look how in perfect condition the inscription is. 35 years. When you ever look at things like this, generally, you'll always, lots of them died of consumption. And then look at this. Symbolism. There's an anchor erected in memory of John Newby, Master Mariner of Great Yarmouth, who died April the 30th, 1859, aged 61 years. He was... did he get really dark? Can't read that sadly, but symbolism. There's another thing, the amount of mariners who were buried in this cemetery, not just local ones, but people who stayed here or had accidents here. And there's, look. With this, Richard Jackson, a shipwright who died at Northfleet in Kent, 1845, deeply regretted. Also Richard, the only and beloved son of Richard and Henrietta Jackson, who died May 7th, 1859, aged 17 years. Thine eye shall see the king in his beauty, and also Henrietta. So, a shipwright was a ship's carpenter, so loads of shipwrights in this cemetery, who died at Northfleet, Kent, which I think is on the coast, or is it on the Thames estuary? So he probably won't be buried here, he's just remembered by his wife. So when his sons sadly died, his wife has put the headstone up and put the son's name and the husband on. Now this is an absolutely fine section here. This has just got so much history. It's got loads of headstones in this 2cc. Again, people likely buried here would have had the means to pay for a decent spot, a headstone. In affectionate remembrance of Elizabeth, the beloved wife of Thomas Adamson. Adamson's a good Scottish name, so the amount of Scottish people who came to Sunderland was unreal. Tens of thousands arrived in the 1800s, early 1900s, still do today, but they left a mark in the surnames. She died suddenly. She was of Bishopwearmouth, who died suddenly at Newcastle, February the 22nd, 1864. Friends, weep not in sorrow or spirit, but joy that my time it is over. I go the good part to something where sorrow and sin are no more. Look at that. It's an old profession you don't see now, and that's another thing, old professions. In memory of Thomas Ratcliffe, coach builder. And there's also George Ratcliffe, their son, coach builder. From memory, I think they had a business down towards Villiers Street. Squirrels, just saying the squirrels. George Atkinson, surgeon. Where'd you pick them out? You just... And there's another monumental mason, the Rosebery family. They did hundreds as well. In affectionate remembrance, again, that was father and sons. In affectionate remembrance of Thomas Dixon of Sunderland. George Singleton of the same place, Master Mariner, son of the latter, who was drowned at sea in the year 1861, aged 41 years. Again, the amount of Sunderland men or women who drowned at sea, not just close to here, but all over the place, around the world. That's a great headstone. And this, in memory of Anne Winchester, the beloved wife of George Wishart, Scottish surname, collector of Inland Revenue, Sunderland, who departed this life 13th of April 1861, aged 54 years. These collectors of Inland Revenue and excise men generally went all the way around the the country with different postings, going from one place to the other, spend a few years here and there. It's a tongue twister. Sacred to the beloved Mary of Maria Minnie Mason, who died at Hilton, County Durham, May the 15th, 1859. She was just aged 14 months. Again, Jane Florence, the beloved wife of Matthew Francis, surgeon of Bishopwearmouth. And there's Matthew, he was a surgeon. He was also a police surgeon as well, so he did like when the police needed work doing, for bodies were found and stuff, and for court appearances. And there's Florence Mary Francis, daughter of Mr. Matthew Francis, surgeon of Bishopwearmouth. And there's also Jane, beloved wife of Alfred Edward Reynolds, late of the York theatrical circuit, who died May the 28th, 1860. So Matthew married his wife in York, and her mother was an actress, and I think Jane, Matthew's wife, was an actress as well on the stage. Got married close to York Minster. That's a fine burial ground, look at that. So a lot of these are actually coming apart. All the iron railings have gone from the outside. This would have been impressive. You would have had an iron fence right round with probably a gate on it as well. Thomas Sanderson, Master Mariner. I've got about a minute and a half left on this video, so I'll show you some more history. This one, if you're ever in the cemetery, come and have a look at this. This is for Cuthbert Vaux and all of the children who sadly lost, was it 7 and 9 years. Now also we have memorials to people who died in the war. Major William Ralph Cowell, 1st Cape Corps South African Forces, who fell at action at Kibet Jubail, Palestine. And also this is for 2 children of Margaret who died young and named after the Duke of Wellington, both of them, and were buried at the long gone Gill Cemetery, which I've done a few videos on. And then this particular fine stretch of the cemetery is absolutely full of shipbuilders, like Samuel Austin, I think he's here. Lots on the right along close to this chapel, going all the way down. So that was just a little, as much as I could fit in 18 minutes, of bits and pieces of Sunderland history that you can find in this particular cemetery. As I said, Bishopwearmouth. There's some example of what the iron railings might have looked like, different styles and so on. But thanks for watching. Sorry that was a bit rushed, but I had to get as much in. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time. If you do like it, give it a like, and if you want to, click on the subscribe. See you next time.